Today's exciting task is I'm going to take out my headlamps and replace the bulbs around, because I've been having issues with them getting flashed by other drivers, and I've got like bulbs in there that are like the plus ones, so I'm just going to take those out and swap them for other ones and have a little look at what I think that the lights look like. I'll turn the lights on in a minute. I know it's daytime. So first things first, we've got to unclip these clips at the top to remove the grill, and then down in here there's another couple of little clips, so one on either side. You just pull those up and then the grill pops out, otherwise you can't remove the headlights. So we'll do that first. It's very light, so we're going to rest it up there in the engine bay. My car seriously needs a wash. And then you expose the headlight clips. Now, I usually find these pretty stiff, so I'm going to go and get a screwdriver to help me lever those. And then in here, for information, this is your aircon condenser. So if you're about to replace that, that's where it lives. So you've got another clip on this side. I think first things first as well, I'm going to quickly turn on the headlights and see if we can get a sort of reference of what they look like before we go anywhere further. So that's what they look like on the garage door. They've got this sort of bright spot. I'm wondering if that's what's dazzling other drivers, because they are pretty dazzly at the moment. So these are like the plus headlights. I'm a little bit unhappy that I keep getting flashed, and also I've got to go on a longer journey now that I've fixed a lot of things that are wrong with the car over Christmas, and I don't really want to be annoying all the drivers as I drive in the other direction. So what I'm planning on doing is transferring these super bright bulbs into the main beam, which is this one here, and then using the slightly lower ones. And also I'm just going to, when I've got these off and in the garage, I'm going to do a little bit more of a polish, because they are still a little bit cloudy, so I'm going to polish them a little bit further. So we'll come back and reference these, whether we've got these bright spots or a better spread once we've changed over to the bulbs. I'll show you what the bulbs are when we go in the garage. So they're pretty easy to remove. You just got to slide up these so, and get them into the right position. Like I said, I do it with a screwdriver. They usually tend to be quite stiff. You can do it with your fingers if you want, but maybe I'm just too weak to do that. But and then they kind of, so once they're in the right position, the headlights sort of fall out. You can see easier on this side that they've got like an alignment, so you can see where the hole is, and then once you've got them aligned up, they will generally come out. And then that's it really on Land Rover headlights. They just come out like that. It's hard to film holding camera. Then the other thing you've got to disconnect is the wiring connector. It's down here. You just push on the top and they tend to come off relatively easily. There you go. So that's the wiring connector off on that side. And then I'm just going to repeat on the other side, and then we are going to go into the garage. One little note, just if you're very boring like me, you can look at the information on the top. So it does give you the serial numbers if you had to buy a replacement lamp. These are halogen lamps. These are not the HID ones, so I'm happy with halogen ones. I mean, I don't really see the point in changing them once you've got them, but you can change the bulbs around a bit, which is what I've done, and that's the problem that I feel that I'm facing at the moment. And it also gives you the percentage for the setting the headlights if they're wrong. Now, the reason I don't think my headlights are wrong is because my car has had an MOT. I'm pretty sure if the headlight aim is out, like on any car that I've ever had in the past, they tell you, because I've had that in the past and they've adjusted them. So I'm pretty sure they would have told me, and I'm just going to test that now by changing the bulbs over. Right, so the bulbs in there at the moment are these Philips Racing Vision. They're plus 200. One thing I have noticed about them is, like I showed earlier, is that bright spot in the middle. So I'm wondering whether that's is the cause of the dazzling effect on the lights. They're better since I polished them up the first time, because I did a little video about that. But they get in less flashes, but they still get flashes. The other thing that worried me was a bus flashed me. Now, if a bus is flashing me, they're a professional driver, so I'm not very happy about that, and that was in town. And the other bulbs that I've bought, I had these before, but I bought the Philips ones because they're recommended by Auto Express winner, but it's not a guarantee thing, is it? They're better. It's just that they won a test for beam patterns or whatever, you know, like the length of the beam, which isn't necessarily a guarantee that they're better bulbs. It just means that they cast longer. I've had a little look on well-known next day delivery site and I got some pictures that the customers who'd bought these showed, and I think these have got a more dispersed beam pattern, which I think will be better. There's still the plus ones that are brighter, but I'm hoping that the beam pattern is better. So we'll see that when we put them in and cast it onto the garage door again. And like I said, the plan is to replace the super bright bulbs into the high beam, so they'll be super useful when you're on a country road, which there's lots of around here. And then the other one should be a bit less dazzly for other drivers, because I don't want to upset other drivers. I'm not one of those kind of people. Let's see how we get these bulbs out and carry on. Land Rover headlights aren't particularly difficult to change the bulbs in, because they've got quite nice access. And they have these plastic panels. There's one here. There's the indicator and the side bulb. But in order to change those, you do have to take off the bracket, which makes it a bit more difficult. These are the actual nuts that you would turn to adjust the angle and the headlight, and this is the main beam, so it's hiding in here. So they're not very difficult to get to, unlike some cars that you have to take the whole car apart to get to, like my mum, who had a Ford KA, and I offered to change the bulb in it, and then because I was visiting her, I didn't have any tools with me, and I assumed it was just you know, open the bonnet, bulb. No way, you have to take the whole blinking wheel arch from underneath the wheel arch off. So that didn't happen. So I'm going to take this one off, which is the high beam, and I'm going to get into there. They can be a bit stiff, but they do come off. This one I usually find a bit stiff. Remember, there are reference points on them to lock them back on again. Particularly on this one, it's hard to say, but there is a little arrow here and a direction. So locking them, I think, is in that direction. I'll prove that in a minute. Yeah, because so it says lock and open on them. So open is that way. I'm kind of pretty sure that once you've got this tab around in this direction, that's when they come off. But we'll soon find out, because I might be swearing in a minute, because this usually is pretty stiff. Hallelujah. Whoa, that was hard, wasn't it? Goodness me. So the other thing when you're replacing bulbs is to be careful, is not to touch the glass part on the bulb. So I think we all know that, but I'm just going to say it out loud again. So we've got our main and high beam there. So this is dip beam and that's high beam. So I'm going to get this off. It's very easy. You literally push down, so this little spring comes up, and you rotate the spring back and try not to, although it wants to take the connector with it, and then the bulb is just attached in there. You can see, so these are the Philips Racing Vision ones. Just going to carefully detach that. Whilst contaminated. Before I put them back in, I'm going to wipe them anyway. So I'm just going to store them. I've got the tray from the new lights there, so I'm just going to put them in there, keep them safe. And then I've got the old one hiding in here that's going to have the similar kind of clip. It's just hiding over the other side. So this is the main beam. That's there. So that's unclipped. What I like about halogen lights is they tend to be relatively easy. Now these are going to probably be potentially original bulbs, so I'll have a little look at what these have got written on them in a minute, but these are probably original bulbs. Never replaced those, or I don't ever remember replacing them. So I think these are the high beam is just a generic Osram standard H7 bulb. So that's what would have been on the high beams. So I've got my old bulb from the main, from the dipped headlight. Just going to give that a wipe on a clean tissue to make sure it hasn't got contaminated with any grease. If you put fingerprints on them, they get hot spots and then they blow. They're keyed inside, so if we have a look at the key, you look in there, at the top, get in there. You have a look at the top, there is a key which goes with the, so you've got the key on the bulb and the key in there. So that makes you get them around the right way. And then I'm just going to clip those in and replace them. So that's all you've got to do, put them back in, clip them in and replace them. So it's all very straightforward, nothing very complicated to do. And I'm just going to do that for both headlamps, and then we're going to have a little look at polishing the lenses a bit further. So this is dip beam, new bulb, don't touch, popped it in. Then this is the wiring connector. Sorry, this is the clip that clips on, cushions. Wiring connector gets in the way, of course. So you put your clip in, make sure it's all secure, and then we've keyed it in so it's in the right position. And then we're going to pop the bulb connector on, make sure everything's correctly positioned, nice and tight. And then that's also applies to this one, which is keyed in and nice and tight. And then we're going to move on. Right, one interesting thing I think about the other headlight is, as I've turned it all the way around, I've realised that this one actually has a stop. So I guess the other one's got damaged, and it hasn't got a stop, which is why I'm turning it further around, which would explain why it's so blinking difficult to remove. So there you go. I'm assuming that this is not damaged, whereas the other one is, which is why I've moved it around. So I'll probably rotate it back to this position here, where it just is at the tip of the arrow. So next time I have to undo it, I won't have to do such a lot of work. I don't know. I'll show the initial sort of having a start. So I've got some sort of scratch remover stuff. So this is very fine polishing compound. You want a good chunk of that. And then you're just going to work around the light using some kind of decent microfiber cloth. And you can say, like, where there are bugs and things on it, you'll see them, so they should just wipe off, and then in a nice circular motion find what you're trying to do, and then you sort of buff, get it going, buff, and then once you buff it for a bit, give it the whole thing a good buff, and then you polish and then check and see what's going on. So I'm going to do that bit. I'm going to turn it the other way because this is not the best way around because I'm filming it. Do that, polish it, and then probably come back at the end to say this is polished one, and then I'll do both lights, then we'll put them back on the car and see whether we have any improvement on what the beams look like and compare the bulbs. So these are the newer bulbs. They don't look as bad. So I'm going to see what I think in the edit, and hopefully this will fix my annoying other drivers' issues. Well done for making it to the end of the video. Now, I had to do another video after this because I went out in my car and I went on a longer journey at night to my work do, my very exciting work do that I had for Christmas. And I was still getting flashed by vans and lorries, and also it became apparent to me on A roads that my headlights were pointing too high up because the signs were being way too brightly illuminated on a dual carriageway. So I then had to finally admit that there must be a problem with my headlight aim. It wasn't just the bulbs. The Osram bulbs caused less issues with other drivers, but they were still an issue. So I then had to work out with my middle-aged brain how to adjust the headlights on Land Rover. Lots of videos on YouTube from Americans that are a little bit ambiguous, but also don't necessarily apply to the alignment that's required on my Land Rover. So I did a bit of research. It took me a while because I am middle-aged and it's slow and it takes me a while to work these things out. But I think I worked out in the end what to do, and I will detail it in the next video that's coming on how to align your headlights if you have a Discovery 3. Very exciting stuff, and hopefully that has resolved the issue. Went on another journey closer to, or over Christmas to visit family, and I'll let you know the results of that in the next video. So fingers crossed we will finally get the flashing headlight issue resolved. Thank you for watching.